Hello! Thank you for the alert, Gray. Hopefully my audio is okay. If it's not, somebody let me know, please. After the Mountain Dogs broke their promise with Rika, they were supposed to round up the remaining club members. But when Akasaka showed up, the dogs had to be divided into a ground force and a basement force, which altered the situation. Kasai had gone on a counterattack, and the other club members somehow climbed up from the well and helped him. Since the Mountain Dogs weren't allowed to fire on the surface, they realized it would make the situation worse if Kasai fired his guns once he came up after them. Okonogi was unreachable, so Nightingale 1 had ordered the retreat in his place. Who would bear the responsibility for this? It was probably Okonogi's fault for taking off his intercom device to fight against Akasaka, as he basically abandoned his job as a commander. But everything happened in the first place because Akasaka showed up. So maybe it was his triumph rather than Okonogi's blunder. Either way, everything was miraculous. But the Mountain Dogs hadn't run with their tails between their legs. They'd simply retreated for the moment. When they returned, they would have enough men and enough arms ready to kill all who stand in their way. And that would happen very soon. There was no time to waste. Rika, I'm glad you're safe. Yeah, I am. Thanks to a miracle. No, it wasn't a miracle. We worked together and one of us, Akasaka, came to help you. That's all. Oh. That's true. Something like this can't be called a miracle. Okay, now it's our turn to attack. Attack? In the basement, the club members were talking about their grand counterattack. Rika was a little disappointed that she couldn't have joined them, but she was happy that Akasaka told her what she had been waiting to hear. Rika told him about how heroic he had been, and he got a little embarrassed. Kasai was doing alright, but Shion wasn't doing too well. Of course, it wasn't life-threatening, but she couldn't hear well in her left ear, possibly due to being so close to an explosion. To test her hearing, Mion went around to Shion's left side and whispered some dirty words. She seemed to be able to hear them fairly well. Of course, she might have been hearing through her right ear, though. Shion decided to lie down on a tatami mattress in the torture room, while Irie kept an eye on her. Mion was very worried, but Shion told her that she was okay and forced her to go ahead with the next operation. Mion complained that Shion didn't understand her feelings. Now they would have to come up with an idea to rescue Tomitake from the clinic. They had Akasaka and Kasai on their side, both of whom were used to battles. They also had Irie, who knew about the secret basement of the clinic. They would have to get moving quickly, but they had to at least have a plan. It was almost 10:30 a.m. Because of what they had gone through, they were exhausted, and it felt like it was almost evening. But if they were at school, it would only be the second or third period. They had to pull themselves together. They had to regain their fighting spirit. Irie checked Shion's left ear with a penlight. I'm not a specialist, but your eardrum may have been damaged. Do you have a headache or feel dizzy at all? No, I'll be just fine. Irie wet his handkerchief and wiped Shion's face gently. Are you surprised? That the manager of the Hinamizawa fighters was in a gunfight, I mean. Yeah, I am. I heard you were ready to give up your own life. Maebara-san told me. Jeez, things like that sound cool in the moment, but when you survive, they're pretty embarrassing, huh? Man. If something happens to you and I live, my sister will never forgive me for that. I don't have my loved one anymore, but Sis does. I don't mean to tease you, but you're talking about Satoshi-kun, aren't you? Well, I don't know. Who knows where he could be? I don't even know if he's alive or dead. He's alive. Eh? Shion's thoughts stopped in their tracks when Irie answered immediately. Satoshi Hojo-kun is alive. He developed terminal symptoms due to excessive stress last year. Mion and the other club members had already told Shion about the current situation, so she kind of understood what he meant. I thought I could treat him with the same drug I used on Satoko-chan, but Satoko-chan was one of the very rare and lucky cases. Satoshi-kun's treatment has been very difficult. It's still going on. Satoshi-kun... he's... still alive. I'm sorry for not telling you this until now. Satoshi-kun is in the basement of the clinic. Wait, no way. I thought he was dead. Shion and Irie returned from the torture room. Shion looked very serious, as if she had gained the determination to fight. Keiichi and the others were just talking about how the enemy found where they were. Do you think there might be some kind of device on Dr. Irie's clothes? Not his personal clothes, but something the clinic provides. Do you mean my coat? Excuse me, let me check. Shion checked Irie over like an inspector at an airport. Then she found a little button on the backside of his collar. It was a little round button. There was no reason why a button like this would be on the back of the collar. This is probably it. This is how they found us without following the car. Dang it! But as long as we have this button, it's possible for us to create a diversion, right? A decoy unit with this button can lure the enemy away, and while the clinic is short on staff, we attack and rescue Tomitake-san. I think that's the best way. Oh, in that case, the decoy unit should bring our foes to my hills. Yeah, that area would be perfect. It's pretty vast, so the enemy will have to bring lots of men, rendering the clinic practically empty. But we'll have no way of knowing how many will stay behind at the clinic. Mr. Tomitake is there, so they'll probably leave an appropriate number of men to guard him. In that case, we should add something they want more than Tomitake to the decoy unit. Are you sure, Rika? Yes. As long as I'm with everyone else in Satoko's hills, I won't be caught. Only we club members know the hill well enough, so maybe it's a good idea to use us as the decoy unit. Yeah, that works. So the adult unit will attack the clinic while the decoy unit lures the enemy away. Bald! Hi, Kimono, how are you? What's the chance of success? Thank you for the hydrate and stretch too. Big stretch. Lurking because this comm is driving you crazy, oh no! Thank you so much for the lurk, Kimono. Good luck with your commission. I believe in you. You got this. As long as Akasaka-san pretends not to see anything, since I heard you're a policeman. Kasai spoke while loading his shotgun. I'm off duty now, Akasaka replied while checking an automatic pistol. He hadn't used this particular gun before, but he was used to handling guns. Thank you for the head pat, Ricochet. How are you? He was prepared to fire, too. Irie tried to memorize how to remove the safety, but he looked nervous. Have you ever used a machine gun before? No, I've only ever used handguns. Maybe you should get used to it. Make sure you have a full magazine at all times, and have another gun just in case the magazine gets stuck. Kasai-san, is that a shotgun? The odd number shots are slug bullets. They can suppress enemies as well as destroy walls. Good enough to be alive at least? You know, we take that. We take that indeed. Hopefully things get better for you, though. Wow, I know people call you Shotgun Tatsu, but you really are a shotgun expert, huh? Shotguns are very deadly. Therefore, even without firing a shot, my opponents may surrender. By the way, I have some bulletproof vests. You should wear them. Kasai sounded very dependable, but at the same time, he reminded everyone that this operation would be a very dangerous one. It wasn't a simple fistfight. Even a veteran soldier can die in a gun battle. There's always a chance of death, regardless of how well trained you are. In fact, Kasai and Akasaka were the only people who could be depended upon. What the? Kasai talked Irie out of carrying a gun because it might be dangerous for him to have one. Someone could get injured by friendly fire. Mion suggested that maybe there should be more people on the team, but both Kasai and Akasaka refused because those who couldn't even handle guns at all might end up as dead weight. Well, then I have to go, huh? We lack firepower. I'll bring my Ingram to support you. But are you okay, Shion? How's your ear? Oh, it's all better now. I'm back to normal. Sorry to make you worry. I don't know if eardrums heal that fast, but okay, Shion, you do you. Shion, what did I just say? Uh, of course I heard it. Mion had tricked her. Mion didn't say anything. Shion still couldn't hear out of her left ear. Shion, it's too dangerous. To be honest with you, you shouldn't even be in the decoy unit. You should just hide somewhere. Sis, listen. I now have a reason why I have to go to the clinic. But if I mention it, Satoko's gonna want to come too. But she just can't. There'll be an indoor fight. The enemy will fire at us. Do you mean... Mion sensed it. She sensed the reason why Shion had to go to the clinic. That was why she didn't say anything more. If she was in Shion's position, she would go even if neither of her ears could hear. It's too dangerous, Shion-san. Please think it over. Satoko, Shion will join the rescue unit. Satoko, the decoy unit is counting on you. Concentrate on your job.
Shi-chan.
You know, right, Rena-san? You know I'm not planning to die.
Yeah, I do. Determined girls can never die.
Okay then. That's right. Even if they kill me, I won't die. Shion and Rena gave each other a high five. Okay, then it's decided. Let's get moving.
Gee, I'll take the button.
Here you are. Good luck, Rika-chama.
You too, Shi. You believe strongly in a miracle, and now it's going to happen. Therefore, this is a chance that God has given you.
I think there were days I didn't believe. I think someone even admonished me for that. It is difficult to keep believing, isn't it? But you believed. You regretted not believing, so you believed. So please cherish this day. Your strong will brought about today, and you will no longer have to suffer what you've been suffering up until now. Hey, are you my sis's new friend? I don't know your name, but thank you. Yeah, I think it'll go well.
Of course it'll go well. Oyashiro-sama guarantees it.
She doesn't know. The mountain dogs had retreated and reorganized their units. They were now ready to attack again. Takano was furious at them for not being able to bring R back to the clinic, even though they had her in their hands. She gave an order to capture her with all the mountain dogs' forces put together. Their vehicles were at the clinic, and they were all standing by for the order to attack. Takano wasn't the only one who was furious. Okonogi was as angry as her. That rookie policeman from 5 years ago had grown. He even made Okonogi yield. He couldn't accept that he was defeated, so he was bent on revenge. The reason why the order to attack was held off was because the signal from the transmission device on Iria was momentarily interrupted. They interpreted it to mean that Iria had gone even further down into the basement. The mountain dogs assumed that the club members would go even further underground and tried to escape by using some kind of secret passageway. That passageway couldn't be that long. They'd have to come up to the surface eventually. The mountain dogs were planning to catch them as soon as they surfaced. The villagers were too busy with finishing setup for the festival, so they had no idea what was going on. By this time, the mountain dogs had shut down the telephone network. They were afraid the club members would call the police. The only way into the town was being watched by the blockade unit, so the club members couldn't escape that way. R and her friends had to come up to the surface. They couldn't be thinking of staying underground until things settled down. Their lifeline, Tomitake, was in captivity. They couldn't be stupid enough to think of attacking the clinic to rescue him. More than likely, they would try to escape the village on foot. They would probably call the police to help them. The patrol unit had several cars driving around the village, their eyes peeled for the signal of the transmitter or those on the run. It was time to wait patiently. The battle had returned to the starting point, and the balance of power was even again. Scheduled report from Skylark 2. All clear. They can't stay quiet for that long. We have to be patient. They'll turn up. By the way, where's the princess? I believe she's interrogating First Lieutenant Tomitake. She's trying to talk him into joining our side. At this point, that may be the only way to settle matters peacefully. Good thing we captured him alive. Settle things peacefully, but you're trying to murder. What? With the princess gone and no phone calls from Tokyo, I can finally enjoy this cool air-conditioned breeze. Commander, there's a radio call from Tokyo. It's from Nomura-san, and it's for you, not for the Major. Good grief. If the phone's no good, they'll use a radio, huh? Well, I wonder what the Queen in Tokyo wants from me now. Okonogi of the Mountain Dogs here. Over. Tomitake was being held in a small meeting room. He was shoved under a desk. He was restrained so tightly that he couldn't even turn around. Takano was sitting in a chair next to the table, staring at a whiteboard. It outlined the research plan that was to be shut down. But Takano wasn't really reading it. She was just staring. Neither of them said a thing. Silence filled the meeting room. It's almost 11 a.m. What a long day. I was woken up so early, and it's not even noon yet. Tomitake didn't reply. Jiro-san, do you think you can help me? I don't need the Mountain Dogs. I only want you. The Mountain Dogs can't comfort me. I finally realized that your insensitivity is the only thing that can. Jiro-san, you knew that, right? That was why you acted that way, right? You thought there was no use in trying to sympathize, and you tried to comfort me. That's what you thought, right? You only pretended to be insensitive, to help me enjoy myself, didn't you? I'm not speaking to you as Major Takano. I'm speaking to you as Mio Takano. You still won't talk to me? A hostage may only give his name, rank, and identification number. Takano hung her head. I don't have the key to those handcuffs. Sorry. That's fine. I didn't ask you to remove them. Would you like a cup of coffee? No thanks. I don't want you to have to help me go to the bathroom in this position. It was hardly a conversation, but Takano was happy that Tomitake had finally replied. However, that wouldn't solve any of their problems. If you must kill me, I'm alright with that. I made my peace when I was caught. Yeah. I was planning to kill you tonight. I'm glad you're prepared for that. Good. Then my resolve won't go to waste. Hey, don't you want to live? If you promise to join me, you won't have to die. My superiors say there's no point in keeping you alive, but I'll work something out. Who are your superiors? I don't know. The person who contacts me calls herself Nomura, but I'm sure that's not her real name. I really don't know. Well, you must have talked to her before you decided to do this, right? I only talked to her a few times. When I think back, she probably just wanted to use me. But at the time, I thought she was the only person who could understand me. I understand. I knew there was a time when you needed someone to help you. I wish I could have been there for you. Yeah. If you were there, that would have been so nice. Nobody has died yet. But I'm going to kill them. You have your masterminds, but there are other masterminds in Tokyo who oppose them. Most of them want to hush up this issue. You may think it's too late to do anything about it, but you're wrong. There's still something you can do. You can make this whole thing disappear. And my grandfather's research on the syndrome will disappear too, won't it? Takano-san, what do you want to happen? Takano closed her eyes for a bit, while she came up with an answer. Her grandfather's research had been insulted. She wanted those with higher positions of authority to take it seriously. Nomura could make that happen. When the final operation was enacted, the higher-ups of the country would have to read the article, and they would have to believe what's in it. They'll authorize the execution of the emergency manual. And yes, that would create an irreversible disaster. But at the same time, the disaster would prove that her grandfather's article had merit. Will you be satisfied with that? Sure. I'll be satisfied. That is the purpose of my life. I asked you before. You're going to disappear after this operation, aren't you? Mio Takano's purpose will be fulfilled, and she will vanish from the face of the earth. You'll return to being Miyoko Tanashi. That is your real name, isn't it? How long had it been since she heard that name? Takano closed her eyes slightly. Yeah, that's right. Soon enough, I will return to being Miyoko Tanashi. Tanashi Miyoko lost her parents and was sent to the orphanage as a little girl. She died after being tortured. That's what you said, right? Yes, I did. I'll have to go back inside of that metal fence. Have you experienced something like that, Jiro-san? Thank you for the lurk, Dappervine. Hope you're doing well. Have a nice lurk. Takano told Tomitake about her horrible experiences, which were simply unimaginable for normal people. I'm going to return to that place, and this time, grandfather won't come help me. So I'll die. If I was dead, I wouldn't exist here. Hi, Draven. Hope you're doing well, too. That is your brother. If I wasn't here, then there wouldn't be an Idia Institute. I wouldn't be stuck living out such a bizarre fate. You're planning to die, aren't you? I'm supposed to be rewarded after the operation, but I don't believe that. I might suddenly be killed one day. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Don't you have someone who you can trust? My clients are just clients. They're not my allies. But the mountain dogs are. I paid them more than enough. But you can't truly trust them, can you? They are my allies. They caught you, and they're trying to catch R and her friends as we speak. They're helping me. That's not the kind of ally you need right now. You're right. They aren't the kind of ally I need right now. Takano paused. She paused because Tomitake had just said exactly what she had been thinking. Since the day Tomitake disappeared, she had been feeling restless. Takano had to admit that she needed Tomitake. Jiro-san, I paid the mountain dogs a few 100 million yen to be on my side. I have a little more than 100 million yen left. How much do I need to pay you? You should think about how much it really costs to get what you truly want. That's a rather pretentious thing to say in this situation. You want me to say that it's something I can't buy with money, right? Why don't you give up? You may be able to tame the mountain dogs with your money, but that won't work on me. But I want you on my side. If you want, I'll give you everything, not just money. You can do whatever you want to do with me. If you want me to lick your shoes, I will! Isn't that enough? Tomitake didn't reply. It wasn't affirmation by silence, but a signal to Takano that he had already told her everything he meant to say, and the most saddening form of silence for her. I'll make you breakfast every morning. I'll show up before you when we meet. I'll never make you wait just to test you. Isn't that enough? Jiro-san. Tomitake didn't say a word. He couldn't see her face under the desk, but he could sense it. This wasn't the time to say anything to her. Remaining silent was the only thing he could do. Suddenly, the phone rang. Takano sniffled once and picked it up. This is Takano. I see. Understood. I'll be right there. Takano stood up as she put down the phone. The mountain dogs found R. We found Iria's signal, too. They must already know that the roads are closed and are trying to escape through the mountains on foot. It won't be easy to hunt them there, but we're actually at an advantage since there's nobody else around. See you, Jiro-san. I think this will be our final conversation. I wish I could have heard you say something at the end of it all. And still, Tomitake stayed silent. Takano ran out of the room. She didn't look like she was hurrying back to work. Appears they came out above ground in the mountains. They might have tried to get some help from the villagers, but a patrol vehicle found R and some of her friends and started tailing them. For a time, R and the transmitter were operating separately, but they rejoined at the mountains on the map. Are you saying they split up and met back up? They must have planned their escape route, I guess. I'm sure they're confident that they know their way around the mountains well enough. If there are too many trees or if the bushes are too high, our weapons won't work as well as they should. That's what the karate guy would think, at least. Okonogi was determined to catch them this time. He kept saying how he was simply caught off guard before. They can't escape this time. We must catch them before they get to Okinomiya. Yes, I know. Since they know the mountains better than we do, we'll have to get serious. All our units will besiege and overrun them. All units, did you hear that? Think of it like a soccer game. Our opponents are going to try and score a goal. That goal is Okinomiya. Don't let them get there. The karate guy is mine, though. I will absolutely bring him down. Phoenix here, roger that. Nightingale here, roger that. Skylark here, roger that. Heron here, roger that. All units, move out. If we fail, it's game over. Quite so. We cannot fail. I'll take command of the course from here. Do you think it'll be alright to leave Tomitake behind? Sure. We're leaving 8 armed security guards behind. Even if the enemy came at them with double that number, they'll be fine. That karate guy will be more of a problem. We simply can't underestimate him. The security unit guarded the basement of the Idia Institute, which was the heart of the organization. Therefore, they were armed more heavily than anyone else in the Mountain Dogs. Okonogi's confidence in the security unit and his newfound obsession with defeating Akasaka made the diversionary plan a success. But at the same time, that meant the decoy club members would have to deal with the full force of the Mountain Dogs. The dogs' white vans ran through the village. While they couldn't fire shots outside, all members were carrying stun guns that fired electric needles. While poor on range, they could subdue a target instantly. With the flip of a switch, they could change between merely stunning or killing their target. The perfect weapon for people like the Mountain Dogs. The vans separated into groups and headed for the mountains. They were planning to surround their enemies and then smoke them out. Commander, all units are standing by in position. Very well. Major, please give the order. This is Takano. Make sure you capture R alive. I don't care if you kill the rest. Don't let them escape. Finish it right there. Nightingale, Skylark, Heron, start hunting. Phoenix will be the goalkeeper and we'll be the reserve. Be ready for anything. This is Phoenix 7, roger that. Let's begin. The Mountain Dogs started marching, spreading out in a line with a few meters between them. This mountainside was a savage land where not even the villagers would dare tread. There were some trails, but no paved roads for human beings. It required an enormous amount of diligence and patience to hunt on a mountain like this. All the dogs were very nervous. They were told that most of their enemies were children, but there were a few well-trained adults with them as well. In addition, they were supposedly armed quite heavily and knew the layout of the terrain quite well. It was obviously going to be a tough battle. Okonogi, how many people do you usually need to search a mountain? It's hard to say, but I'm sure that the more people we have, the better the position will be in. But all the Mountain Dogs put together won't even be close to enough. But our enemies are just a small group of people. Don't you think we're at an advantage? Well, you know what people always say. It takes thrice the forces to break a defense. We'll have twice more than that on our side. Well, that theory works if we're talking about thousands of soldiers. It doesn't work in smaller scale battles. The US Armed Forces proved that in the Vietnam War. Then in this case, how great of a force do you think you'll need to search this mountain, Okonogi? Whatever works, I guess. I don't know what you mean by that. What would be an appropriate military force? Considering what happened this morning, we'll have to conclude that their commander is extremely brilliant. They also have at least 2 weapons experts, and at least 1 close combat expert. Okay, I see that. But the rest are all kids, aren't they? But what if the commander is a child? What then, huh? That's what I think too, but we're in their territory. One kid who knows an area well can be equal to a finely trained patrol unit. They're more troublesome than you think, Major. Then tell me how great of a force you'll need to actually suppress them. We'll need 1 division. Let me explain what I mean by that. 3 or 4 Mountain Dogs make a battalion, and 3 or 4 battalions make a regiment. And finally, 3 or 4 regiments make a division. Are you saying we need 30 times as many people? Of course, that alone isn't enough. We need to get in touch with an artillery base and request an advance bombardment. We could get help from the air. I'd want a phantom to drop the palm bombs. You've got to be kidding me! We don't have that much force at our disposal. What do you think would happen if we tried to chase them down with our current manpower? Well, it won't be easy, that's for sure. Okonogi laughed boldly. He said it wouldn't be easy, but he also seemed to be implying that he was the only one capable of doing it. Although this is their territory, they got here just a little while ago. They don't have a base, and they didn't even have time to set up traps. I don't think they've had enough time to use their knowledge of the mountains to their advantage. Which, little does he know. As Takano listened to Okonogi's explanation, she felt a little anxious. When she pretended to be friendly with Satoko a long time ago, she used to tell Takano all about her mountain. Takano remembered how Satoko told her about all kinds of traps she'd set up, but she couldn't recall which mountain Satoko was talking about. Skylark to base. We've located some of the targets. We can't see R. We're still searching. We can use them as hostages. Capture them even if R isn't there. Nightingale, did you hear that? Gather up the nearby units and block their escape route. Roger, we'll back you up.
Well, of course. They'd want to cut off our escape route, wouldn't they?
Some fallen trees were leaning against a much larger pine tree, forming a natural scaffold. A small hut made out of plywood had been built on top of them. It was one of Satoko's many secret bases. It was in a perfect spot, since Mion could see the foot of the mountain well.
Wow! This went just as Michan expected!
Well then, we'll see what they've got, huh?
Can we win? Can we?
Hehehe. What are you talking about? Our enemy's commander is worthless. They'll need at least one division, but they're trying to attack us with just a single company. What are they thinking? We'll just see how many of them will be able to go back down the mountain in one piece today. Dang it! This is Skylark 4. We've been attacked! Crap! Don't let him get away! They let loose tons of logs! Skylark 6 sprained his ankle, unable to pursue. We'll go on without him. Don't let them escape. Keep on chasing them until the end. Don't even give them a chance to rest. This is Skylark 11. We've encountered a trap. Skylark 12 and 13 probably have concussions. We would have been dead if we weren't lucky. This is Skylark 16. A trap got me. I'm tangled in steel wires, unable to escape. I can't cut him with my knife. Somebody bring a wire cutter! Chaotic radio transmissions came in, one after another. Obviously, Okonogi had been wrong about the mountain dogs being in an advantageous position. Nightingale 10 to base. Those idiots disguised a pit trap with a well. 2 members fell in, unable to rescue them. We need help. Huh? What? Stop! What's the matter, Nightingale 10? Come in, Nightingale 10. This is Nightingale 10. I've been hit. I was pushed from behind. Nightingale 9 through 11 are in the well now. We're unharmed, but unable to escape. Crap! Base to Nightingale. Your backup has been attacked. The enemy can see your movements. Watch out! This is Nightingale 1. I have a question. How could they see our movements? There's no UAV in the air or anything. Skylark 1 to base. We failed in our pursuit. We lost them. This is impossible. This mountainside is full of traps. We've already had a lot of injured men, and only covered a short distance. Heron 1 to HQ. We found R and some of her friends. We're going after them. We need assistance immediately. They split up, huh? Their plan is to confuse and entangle us with traps. Heron 1, be careful. They're luring you into a trapped area. They're splitting up to divert us and are planning an ambush. This is an extremely advanced tactic. There have already been many injuries in the other units due to the traps and ambushes. Be careful. Be prepared for anything, Heron 1. Heron 1. Heron 2 to base! Heron 1 is trapped! Come on! Somebody cut the rope! The rest of you keep going! Don't let R escape! Nightingale 1 to base. Nightingale 7 and his team have gone silent. It's very possible they've been attacked. Allow us to send assistance. This is Heron 5. 3 of our unit members have been knocked out by falling drums! What the hell is this? Are there more of those ahead of us? This is Skylark 13. I was down. There's one of them now! I'll chase them down. Dang it! I'm gonna get you! Stop! Stop, Skylark 13! You can't take them down by yourself.
Oh? Come out, wherever you are. Come on, this way.
Darn kid! Wait right there! Skylark 13 chased Satoko with an enraged snarl on his face, but Satoko ran through the woods effortlessly. Small branches scratched his body all over, but he continued to chase Satoko. Satoko ran like the wind. To her, she was simply running in her own backyard. Who would get injured in a place like that? As Skylark 13 ran after her, he passed many mountain dogs who couldn't even move because of Satoko's traps. The more of his trapped fellows he saw, the more he wasn't sure if the girl he was after was really a girl. She was just something that looked like one. What? He reached an area where logs were stacked up in piles. It seemed like the trees in the area were being chopped down. It was a rather strange scene. On his way there, Skylark 13 saw a member from a different unit hanging upside down from a tree, and he also saw feet sticking out of a pitfall. There was a member whose foot was tied to the root of a tree with a device that looked like a pair of handcuffs. He reached this area after seeing all of them. He suddenly started sweating all over his body. For Skylark 13 realized that he'd been lured into a trap. He'd been caught in a snare. She had tricked him! The girl was standing in the middle of the open area, calmly balancing on a stump. She was simply looking at him. Crap, he thought. She's trying to lure me in. This is Skylark 13! I chased one of them to an open field! I'll catch her! I'll get her! This is Nightingale 7. I'm the one hanging behind you. That isn't a girl. That's a demon! If you chase her, you'll end up in hell! Base to Skylark 13. That's enough! Wait for assistance. Some nearby members are on their way.
Oh, what's the matter, huh? If you want to catch me, you'll have to step forward about 10 meters.
It was only 10 meters. If he walked about 10 meters, he could catch that bratty little girl. How many steps did he have to take to walk 10 meters? If he took 10 steps to walk 10 meters, that meant there would be 10 more chances of stepping on a trap. But it was only 10 steps. He can catch her after taking just 10 steps. This guy can walk a meter per step? That seems like a lot.
Well, if you really want to catch me, then why not take your first step? Come on.
Crap! How was he going to take his first step? That area with weeds looked suspicious, but the bare ground looked suspicious too. What if he jumped onto a tree stump? No, that was what she wanted him to do. Cold sweat was dripping off of Skylark 13's body. He only needed to take 10 steps, so why was he so nervous about taking the first one? Skylark 13, from what I can see, the tree stumps look okay. You could jump on them. Don't, Skylark 13! This is Nightingale 8, the one tied to the tree root. The tree stumps must be traps. There are too many stumps there, and that's just too suspicious. Can you hear me, Skylark 13? Don't go into any bushes. It's dangerous. Don't step on the weeds. The open ground is dangerous too. Crap! Then where should I step? Do you want me to fly?
What on earth are you doing? I'm growing bored waiting for you. Oh,
This is Nightingale 9, the one who's tied up. My head is being patted by one of the targets. She says it's a trap field. Eh? Supposedly, that girl's magnum opus is set up there. You should be extra careful. You've got to be kidding me! Did he say magnum opus? What does he mean by magnum opus? Then what about all the other traps? Weren't they her magnum opus? We mountain dogs are professionals. We're paid to engage in battle. Yet this little girl is playing us like fools. Can we not beat her? Can't we beat this brat? This must be a bluff. How is it possible for our trap to exist that's worse than what I've seen so far? That's a bluff. That must be a bluff. Now I'm definitely going to get her. Should I start with my right foot or my left? The girl suddenly lifted her hand and thrust it at me. Is she trying to tell me to stop?
5 steps.
What?
If you could take 5 steps without stepping on a trap, you win.
I see. You're confident, aren't you? If I take 5 steps safely, what are you going to do?
Let's see. I'll admit my loss and surrender. How about that? My brain is as sharp as ever today. I'll get you before you take your 5th step.
Stupid brat! Calm down, Skylark 13. Don't let her provoke you. She's a demon. Don't let her appearance fool you. She can read your mind. We can't defeat her. Base to Skylark 13. Don't go any further. That's enough. Nightingale's almost there. Just stay in position. But that would mean I'd lose. 5 steps. 5 steps, you say? Dang it. I'm in then. 5 steps, right? Just 5 steps, right?
How many times do you need to repeat it? A man should only say things once unless he's whispering words of love.
Darn you, kid! Skylark 13, she's going to read your mind! Calm down. That's right. I'm Skylark 13. I'm cool-headed, just like Golgo. So I need to keep a level head and think. Right. She's already onto my thoughts. She can see how I'll think if I have to take 5 steps towards her.
Whatever do you mean by that?
This is what it means. I won't go forward. I'll take 5 steps backwards. I did it! I did it! I was certain it was a trick. If I take 5 steps, I win. She didn't say I had to move forward. I could go backwards too.
And that's why you're done with those 5 steps.
Oh my gosh. Absolute cinema. Skylark 13 is down! That fool. He let her mess with him. Satoko's remarkable performance wasn't just her own effort alone. Mion had mastered the geography and the enemy's formations while instructing Satoko. Satoko marked all of her traps on the map. When that map and Mion's ability to command combined, the club was simply unbeatable. Rika and Hanyu, who knew about the mountain almost as well as Satoko, relayed orders from Mion to Keiichi or Rena. They then prepared for the ambush. The traps didn't always activate when they were stepped on. Sometimes Keiichi and the others were setting them off at the right moments. Keiichi and Rena continued to fight everywhere according to Mion's orders. Sometimes they'd hide, and sometimes they'd attack. One by one, they eliminated their enemies. You would think the mountain dogs would notice if someone's presence came up like behind them to activate a trap, but okay. Satoko's traps had been taken down by most of the enemies. Taking down most of the enemies, but Keiichi's surprise attacks with his bat had worked out successfully too. Not even the well-trained mountain dog could respond to attacks after being stunned by these traps. Okay, I guess that's fair. Humans need a little time to react. According to the research done by the US Armed Forces, the average reaction time is 15 seconds. In other words, any soldier is powerless during the 15 seconds following a surprise attack. Shortening those 15 seconds is one goal of their training, but no matter how much they train, it will never become 0. The radio communications had actually made things much worse for them. The more they heard about the damage done to the other units, the more worried they got. That slowed them down and made them think less strategically. At that point, as far as Mion was concerned, the mountain dogs were no longer a force to be reckoned with.
Keiichi was successful. He bundled them all up nicely together. Nippa.
Oh, Satoko did too. She finished off all of them. Got it. Looks like we got 5 more points with this one, huh? Okay, my lovelies, what are you going to do now? About 30% of your southern army is dropped out. At least 1 or 2 men have to respond to calls from the injured soldiers. And what that means is they hardly have anyone left. Any decent commander would order a retreat around now. This is Skylark 1. We have too many injured men in our unit. We don't have anyone to continue the pursuit. We have no other choice but to give up. Skylark 1, we may have been badly damaged, but we're definitely narrowing the enemy's range of action. You may not withdraw. Maintain the front with what you've got. Crap! Skylark 1 to all units. The commander's basically telling us to die. Check your supplies once more and we'll resume the march. Takano-san is so mad that she won't allow it. The morale of the unit commander is down because his request to withdraw was denied, and they have to resume the march. Here's our chance. Rika-chan, meet up with Rena and lure them into Section Z. The traps there are something else. Hanyu, tell Kat-chan to move on to Section X. What a fun game. Oh, Mion's in perfect form.
If she was born in a different era, her name would have been in the history books.
If you ask me, Nelson and Togo are both mediocre. It's like I can see this mountain inside and out. Mion was the type to display exponential ability. When she's down, she's at rock bottom, but when she's in perfect form, it's just terrifying. That was the blood of the head of one of the 3 families of Hinamizawa. If Mion had been around for a historical battle, she would have changed history. If she were to join Napoleon, Siberia would be French territory. If she were to join Hitler, Europe would belong to the Third Reich. Reach? I don't know. And even with all that, the battle in the mountains was simply a diversion. Just as Mion had expected, everything had collapsed into chaos. If the mountain dogs could think calmly, they could have realized that they hadn't seen any adults, but they didn't notice, confused as they were by all the attacks they were suffering. Of course, that too was part of Mion's plan. The scale of the diversion would hide the fact that there was a rescue unit going to get Tomitake. Therefore, the more chaotic the battle grew on the mountain, the better it was for the rescue unit. That was why she chose such an ostentatious method of fighting. But at the same time, that was exactly the kind of fight Mion performed. That was exactly the kind of fight Mion preferred? I'm guessing it's just the fight that Mion preferred. But she didn't intend to let it just be a diversion. She was planning to destroy the dog's main force on these mountains. Yet, most frightening of all was our home advantage. It wasn't exaggerating to say that the theory that defenders have thrice the advantage over assailants is heavily due to their advantage of location. In that case, how was the rescue unit doing? Were they at a disadvantage because they were on the offense? The 4 rescue unit members, led by Irie, were hiding in an ambush. Were hiding in a bush next to the clinic. I can read. Let's go. The security camera on this side of the clinic is broken, so it's safe. You want to attack from this side? Are you sure? Our enemy is completely dependent on the security system, so it should be alright. Okay, let's go then. Should we head along the wall to the back of the director's office? Yes, I didn't close the window when I left, so it should still be open. When you go in through the window, there's a back door and a security camera, as well as the security room for the first floor. There should be 2 guards in there. The entrance to the basement is being observed by a security camera, so they'll find us right away. Okay, then we have to take those 2 guards down on the first floor, right? It's a basic rule to secure an escape route. We'll go in through the office and then to the security room on the first floor. They moved forward, walking against the wall so they'd remain in the blind spot of the security cameras. They soon reached the window of the director's office. If any village kids saw them, they'd assume they were playing around, pretending to be spies. Irie was glad that the clinic was closed on Sundays. Irie peeked into the room. It was exactly the same as how he left it. The window was open too. The 4 of them snuck into the room through that window. Akasaka put his ear against the door to the hallway. Then he signaled the others to let them know that there was nobody on the other side. Since the clinic was closed, the mountain dogs were the only people around. It being Sunday really was fortunate. It was very quiet in the clinic. The chorus of the cicadas was the only thing that could be heard. There was a clock on the director's desk. It was almost 11:30 a.m. Shion was surprised to find herself getting hungry, given all that was going on. Kasaya and Akasaka checked over their weapons. Irie brought out a book of blueprints from a locked bookcase. The title said Construction Plan for the Irie Clinic. This is the director's office. This is the security room for the first floor. It's right next to the office. These red marks are the security cameras. The security room on the first floor shouldn't be a problem at all. The basement will be a lot more difficult. This is the underground research section. This is the entrance to it here. It appears as a stairwell to the second floor on the blueprint we gave to the regular workers, but there's actually an entrance to the basement hidden there. And this is the staircase to the basement. That's quite the basement. It's actually bigger than the section above ground. That proves the basement contains the real identity of this clinic. And this is the door that required Coach's security access card to open, huh? Is it possible for them to revoke your access card? Is there a way to break through the door in case we can't use it? It's a strong door. When destroying all the evidence, we're supposed to shut the door and pump water into the place. So it's an airproof door, huh? If it can endure that much water pressure, it must be strong. So there must be no way in. No other way in other than by using the access card. It's possible to block individual cards, but the access cards that Takano-san and I have are special ones for commissioned officers. These special cards require an 8-digit password set by the owner, so in practice they can't block my card. In other words, they don't expect commissioned officers to use them with ill intent, right? But if that doesn't work, we'll have the guards in the security room on the first floor open it. Their card should work fine. I doubt they'll let us in using their cards, though. You just steal them, duh. If they don't want to help, all we need is a card and a finger, right? I'd rather not do that. Let's just hope my card works. Where's the security room for the basement? It's located right next to the door. That room has air conditioning and a TV, so basically it's where all the security guards end up gathering. After we take down 2 guards on the first floor, there should be 6 left. 6 guards, huh? Then we'll have to get them all at once. If we don't, they'll set off an alarm. Unless we can cut the wires for it. I'm not sure where, but they must have both reserve power and reserve wiring. Then that's a no-go. It'd be more realistic to take out everyone in the security room. Are the guards armed? The guards on the first floor aren't armed, but I've heard they kept guns in the security room just in case. All the security guards in the basement have guns, though. I think they have more powerful guns in the security room, too. Since those guns are for indoor use, I bet they use machine guns of a lower caliber. They won't be accurate when used at long range, but they're extremely powerful and dangerous when in close quarters. They had an MP5 earlier. It won't be good for us if they have several more of those. But if we could take them out, the basement is ours. Coach, where's Satoshi-kun? I'd rather not move him, but we can't leave him in the enemy's hands either. Let's move him somewhere safe. I need to be with him too. Which room is Satoshi-kun in? He's in a confinement room down here. He's been staying there since last year. Satoshi-kun. The look in Shion's eyes made clear her determination. The security guards who chased after Irie were in the security room on the first floor. They had resumed their game of poker. They knew that the mountain dogs were combing the mountains, and they were well aware that the Institute continued to be in danger. But their job was to stay in that room. And besides, they were working hard on their poker game. Of course, they weren't really concentrating on the game itself. They were still both chatting about the recent car chase, and both seemed proud about what they had done. They were ordered to shoot at the tires, but they wished they had been ordered to shoot at Irie himself. They definitely would have caught him then. They talked and laughed like that. When people stopped being on edge, that left them all the more vulnerable. This was a perfect example. That was why it took only 2 seconds to suppress them. Put your hands on your heads. The security guards were professionals. They immediately realized the guns Kasai, Akasaka, and Shion were holding weren't toys. They'd already heard that there was a gunfight in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. The security guards knew that they weren't dealing with amateurs. They also knew that they wouldn't hesitate to fire. That was why they surrendered so quickly. They had handcuffs on them already, so it was easy for Kasai and the others to restrain them. The security guards had never thought they'd be wearing the cuffs themselves. They'd especially never dreamed of being locked up in a toilet. Their hands were cuffed to pipes behind them as they sat on the toilet seats. Their mouths were stuffed with hand towels and covered with duct tape. Shion, clearly amused, remarked on how she always wanted to do this to someone. Kasai couldn't help but laugh. So far so good. The real challenge is the basement. They'll see us on a security camera. Is the camera black and white? And is the screen divided into 4 sections? I think so. It's one of those typical screens for a security camera. Thank you for the hydrate and stretch, Draven. Wow, big stretch. Owie. I'm shrimping. That means its resolution isn't that great, huh? In that case, I have an idea. Shion-san, maybe they've already suffered enough. The mountain dogs weren't only locked in the bathroom, but had to go through extra humiliation. Oh no, they're being stripped! Radio calls continued to come in from the mountain dogs who were fighting up in the mountains. The security guards listened to them intently over the speakers. From what they could hear, it was obvious the mountain dogs weren't doing well at all. They kept falling into traps, suffering heavy losses, all of which they had never expected. It was clear that the mountain dogs were trapped, but they even started to think that they were being lured into something bigger than a simple military maneuver. The mountain dogs had made a mistake. They assumed the club members went to the mountains to escape from Hinamizawa, but they were wrong. They were simply being lured into their enemy's carefully prepared territory. The panicked voices of the mountain dogs, Takano's yelling, and Okonogi's reprimands could be heard through the speaker. It certainly sounded like a war zone. Zzz. Phoenix 1 to Phoenix. Break time is over. We're moving in. We'll take over Heron's positions. We've already suffered critical casualties on our side, but the enemy has steadily retreated, and we almost have them surrounded. We're almost there. We'll use Phoenix to overpower them. The Major will take command. I'm going in too. We'll finish them off. Hey, the Commander's going as well. Phoenix is going in too. It's an all-out attack. I can't believe this. Have most of our units been defeated? Who are we up against anyway? What kind of special unit are they? The security guards listening to the battle reports over the radio fluctuated between dismay and rejoicing. A cute chime rang suddenly. It was a warming chime that rang automatically when someone went through the entrance to the basement. When the chime rang, the guards were supposed to check the screen to see who was coming through. The one who looked at the screen needed a moment to comprehend what he was seeing. Hey! It's Director Idia! What? They could see the two security guards on the first floor restraining Idia and some girl. This is Director Idia, right? What's going on? I get it. The unit fighting against the Mountain Dogs are a diversion. Those two are here to rescue Tomitake. Call the Major and let her know we have the Director. A buzzer sounded, and a computer panel displayed information about the card being used to enter. Commissioned Officer Pass, ID 0001, Special Grade 1. Lieutenant Colonel, Kyosuke Irie, Director. Password. Match. Fingerprint confirmation. Match. How strange. The security guards brought Irie down. That made sense. But why were they using the Director's security access card? They were even using his fingerprint. Why were they having him do that? Wouldn't it be quicker for the guards to do that themselves? Ah! One of the guards figured it out, but it was too late. The door to the basement was open, and the four newcomers forced their way inside. They ran through the security camera screen and were headed straight for the security room. They had them! As soon as the door opened, the security guards started firing. Akasaka realized that if it had taken him a second longer to pull back, he would have been riddled with hundreds of bullets. One of the guards pushed the desk onto its side. The paper cups on the desks fell to the floor, spilling coffee everywhere. They used the desk as a barricade. The other two guards started to shoot at random. As long as the guards were shooting at the rescue unit, they couldn't counterattack. One of the guards activated the emergency alarm, and another picked up the submachine gun off the wall. The other one picked up a gas mask. It was impressive that they got their act together so quickly. A situation like this would result in a fierce gun battle, meaning that it would take quite a while for the rescue team to suppress the guards. The emergency alarm sounding in the basement reminded them that their surprise attack had failed. Crap! We couldn't do it! But they're stuck in that room. While they're there, we can rescue Satoshi-kun and Tomitake-san. The mountain dogs outside would definitely hear that alarm. If they took too long, the enemy would come back to block their escape route. They'd be trapped inside. Right. I think there was something about dealing with intruders in the security system. Idia started to speak while he tried to recollect it. Shion told him that he should have remembered something like that before they came in. Before Idia remembered, a voice came on over the speakers. There's been an emergency in the entrance block. There's been an emergency in the entrance block. All areas in the research center will be shut down as an emergency measure. All entrance area staff are to gather in the security room and put on gas masks. Please follow the security guard's instructions. The gas will be disseminated automatically in the entrance area within 2 minutes. I repeat. So we'll have to take them down and cancel the alarm within 2 minutes or we'll be in big trouble. What kind of gas are we talking about here? Is it poisonous? I think it's Diphenylcyanoarsine. I can't read that. If you inhale a lot of it, it's dangerous, but it's not deadly. It only takes a few seconds to take effect. There are many symptoms, but the most common one is to sneeze for about 30 minutes. Isn't that also called red agent? The military used to use it to secure enemy territories. They either had to run out of there immediately or take over the security room. But since the area had already been sealed off, they couldn't escape. But there were armed guards in the security room, and if the rescue unit members even peeked around the corner, they'd be shot at mercilessly. Dang! This won't work! We can't aim and shoot in this situation. The basics of indoor combat. Grenades, huh? Crap! We don't have any! If If we rush in, we'll be shot at. What can we do?
Satoshi-kun is finally within my reach! Dang it!
Shion pressed her forehead against her gun, gritting her teeth in frustration. As Kasai analyzed the situation, he stood up and spoke. Everyone, let me handle this. Okay, I think we're gonna save here for today. My goodness. Such action. We love to see it. Double save. And then we're going to switch over to Arknights.